think in 2010 we're pretty excited because we actually had an 18% increase in our beef exports as far as volume and a 30% increase as far as value. So what we see going forward, I think, is as we go into 2011, we're looking at least a double-digit increase at a minimum of 10% growth next year. We're excited because in 2010 we also eclipsed our record of 2003 as far as beef exports. So we've already eclipsed more than we did, at the time the market was closed in 2003. I think that the areas that we still have a lot of focus on would be North Asia. We still have a 20-month barrier as far as the age break as far as Japan is concerned. We also have the Korea market that's growing very dramatically. We're up over 100% this past year in Korea, so we see great things going on in Korea again. And also we're looking at the Chinese market where we can have some access to the Chinese market in 2011, which ought to be added impetus to our exports. So I think when we look at things, we look at North Asia being a big driver, but it doesn't mean that we're not doing well in China. The Middle East is doing very, very well for us. We've seen growth in Saudi Arabia. We've seen growth, obviously very good growth in Egypt recently.
Right.
We've seen growth in Mexico. We see Mexico again being in the plus column, our #1 export market for beef. So as we look around the globe, we think we're pretty well positioned to take advantage of the growth that's going to occur next year.
What would you tell to producers that can help enhance some of those things that would make that marketability improve for their product and that can be built upon from the past successes as well?
Well, I think the main thing is what I really see from the producers would be if there's the commitment, for the international marketplace. I think the average producer probably does not understand how much international trade affects them. Number one is there's about $175 derived from every fed steer. That's the export dividend. And I think if there's more knowledge of this, we would like to see more dollars devoted to the international marketplace. I mean, at this point in time, we're exporting almost 15% of our supply. We see this growing over the last 20 years. The beef exports have been one of the fastest growing sectors in all of U.S. agriculture. And as we look at the export markets going forward with population growth, with competition, but also there's people that, like in Europe, where there's a decline in production, where you have a decline in production in Russia. You're starting to see in Australia where there's going to be a decline in production, obviously because of the natural disasters they've had there with weather. I think we're positioned very well to take advantage of these opportunities going forward. So that's probably the key thing from a big macro area. I think the other thing is that from more of a micro area, I mean, a lot of the world is looking very closely at traceability. You have this going on. If you're a net importing country, which we're not in the United States when it comes to food, if you're a net importer, you're very interested in traceability. You're very able who produced the product, how was it produced, where was it produced. A lot of these types of things are become very, very important as you have a world that is being inundated with food safety scares, whether it's the bird flu in Japan now, the bird flu, FMD in Korea. I mean, you look at all the issues we've had in China over the last 10 years. So everyone is very concerned about food safety, as we even are here in the United States. You had dioxin just recently in Germany. And so even in these very advanced countries, you have a lot of these major scares. So if you're a net importer of product, you really want to know much, much more about it. And I think these are things that we have to do.